What is going on YouTube? What is going on YouTube? Today we are trading NQ on the fresh Lucid 50K Eval. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Good. All right. So today we are going to be trading NQ and we are on the LucidFlex Eval. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to get my mic situated here. All right. So we got trading view up. Trade. Why does it not have the it should be linked. Oh yeah, it is. It's right here. Okay, it makes sense. So I'm gonna have two different. I'm actually gonna be trading MNQ because I'm a chump. Um but that's fine. I'm gonna add MNQ to each one of these. And I'm gonna add MES. Okay, and then I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna start analyzing. Incubious. All right, so what is going on YouTube? It is 9:20 a.m. and I'm going to show all of you guys how in 10 minutes or less you can get fully prepared to trade NASDAQ and ES futures in the morning. Let's get started. So first off, the first thing you have to do is you have to find the news. And since I'm sharing here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to 2 degrees, live economic calendar by 2 degrees. I'm actually going to find it for you guys like it's not even on my thing right here. By 2 degrees, I'm going to click. It's going to add. And let's see, expected impact, holiday, low impact. I only want to see that. Okay. So 8:30 we have CP. So what is it, the 17th? So I can see here there's pretty much no news today. And let's even look on the medium impact. Is there anything? Yeah, so we have 10 a.m. news on Fridays today's preliminary consumer sentiment inflation. So we have news at 10 a.m., but it is medium impact, which means it is not necessary that we wait. But it is something to keep in mind. If there was a high impact news later in the day, then usually we want to wait, or at the very least not be in a trade at that point in time. So we don't have any news that we need to truly worry about. So with that being said, next thing we're doing is I'm going to go to the 30-minute time frame on NQ, and I'm full screening this. And I want to make sure this is more visual so I can see it better. Perfect. Okay. So the gray here is what you see in the black is the New York session from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And um, everything else is going to be outside of that, which is going to be sessions that are not part of the New York session. So you have the post hour, and then after the hour post market of the New York session, you have the new Asia session that starts the next day at the next trading day at 6 p.m. Okay, so let's see here. So this should actually say 17. There we go. Perfect. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out my levels. All right. I want this to be yellow because yellow is my pre-market levels, and I'm going to get mark it with an AH. That means it's after hours high. And then I have a pre-market low, which I don't have to worry about because I have a indicator that's doing that for me. But the indicator only works if the market opens. It's programmed in. So I'm going to actually manually mark it so you can see it. But it looks like we might actually maybe break it beforehand. Maybe not. I doubt it. We only have 6 minutes left. So I think that's good to see. This will be my pre-market high. Technically not truly the pre-market high, but I'm going to mark it as the pre-market high because it's a lower high that stands out, that everybody's going to be looking at. You want to look at levels that everyone else is looking at. That's the key. So you have pre-market low, pre-market high, after hours high. So that's everything that's good. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to session high. I'm going to put in my previous day New York session. So ICT talks about this, how you don't just want to look at the extended electronic trading hours session. You also want to look at the New York session. So I have the previous day New York session high and New York session low. And then I'm going to my indicator. I have the opening price and the previous day closing price. That's going to auto pop up. I don't have to worry about that. I have that. Go ahead and join the free Discord, and I'll give you all these indicators if you need them. I'll help you guys set them up if needed. It's free. You don't have to worry about paying or anything. I'll just show you for free. All right. So all my levels are pretty much drawn for NQ. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to ES. Same thing. So save. Okay. I'm going to expand here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Asia session high. Good. There we go. Okay, so ES is showing relative weakness. That is very interesting. It's already broke down, which tells me that maybe we could have, I'm already thinking here, maybe we could have some type of catch-up play on NQ. Especially because this is already broken. I'm going to go down to the 15. Yeah. Go down to the 15 and go here. And I'm going to go like that. Okay, so I'm going to go to the 16. Good. Market low. After hours high. So there's two different levels here to mark. I'm actually going to do the controversial thing here. Let me see the high. 22. I'm going to mark this high because it's the most recent one. If this one breaks, it should be soon after, and the high on this one is 23.5. So I want the closer level marked first. So that'll be the level I'm eyeing for. And this level, price level, time point coincides with NQ, which means more people will be looking at it because it's on two different tickers. So I'm going to be marking that one and paying primary attention to that. So that's that. I have my auto indicator for opening price, the previous day close, New York sessions in, volume. I'll turn it off and on as needed. I already checked the news, so we're good here. So now what we're going to do. So the first thing I do is I mark my levels on the 15 and 30 minute. Next thing I'm doing is I'm actually going to do something that a lot of people may not agree with me on. So I'm actually going to look at SPY and QQQ. The reason I do that is because you have to look at, again, what are other people looking at? So I'm going to look at the daily chart on these just to see where we're situated, and that is exactly why I'm doing it. So if you look here, what is my stocks doing? So we have Apple, just out of curiosity, we have Apple and Microsoft gapping down, Nvidia gapping down. I'm taking a quick look at the Mag 7 and a few other stocks. Microsoft down, Apple down, Nvidia massive down, Tesla, Amazon, Google, Meta, Broadcom, Palantir. Okay, so across the board, tech stocks are gapping down heavily. Okay. Interesting. So that'll be interesting sentiment for today to see how the market behaves. So what we're going to do is I'm going to switch to the 1 minute chart, and I'm going to go to the daily chart on SPY. I'm going to look, okay, we have a large gap down on SPY. We have a large gap down on QQQ. Very interesting. And then we have Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, Google. Everything else is gapping down. What's new? Okay. So that means now I'm going to switch back to ES. And I'm going to hide drawings here. And you can see that we're approaching this level here on the 8th. So I'm going to target this on the daily. And I'm going to put that as a weekly sell side liquidity. Wait, that maybe we could target. I'm going to go with a solid line. Good. All right. And we're rocking and rolling. Market's already open. So market's already open. We are rocking and rolling. And I am going to see what we got going on. So I'm going to switch to the 1 minute. The 1 minute time frame. I want to go back and forth between ES and NQ. I want this to be my NASDAQ futures right here. And I want these similar intervals. Can I do that? I can. And I'm going to apply this here. Perfect. I'm going to drop my transparency down. Perfect. Good. Then I'm going to get my opening and close. And there we go. So it should do, there it is. My close is automatically put in. Where's the close? The close is already all the way up there. What? Yeah. It's a massive gap down, huh? Massive gap down. Wow. If you want to see the gap down for context, it's between that green and red. Pretty monstrous gap down. All right. So pretty much ready in the morning. We have, in my opinion, we have to be patient and see if any setups present themselves. Um, and if they don't, then we don't trade. Trading is all about patience, and patience is a virtue when it comes to trading. I'm going to switch to the 1 minute on each of these. These are my MNQ. I should not do that. MES. Okay. Interval crosshair. Date range. Okay. Opening, close, New York. I'm going to apply to entire layout. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to zoom out in the 15-minute, because if you really want to be profitable, you don't want to be zoomed in to the smaller time frames. I'm actually going to zoom out even more to the 30. I'm going to keep my interval constant. I'm going to hide. I'm going to hide all. And I'm just going to watch. Looks like we're heading towards this level here to break down, but it's easier said than done. The question is, how do you nail it? That's the tough part. How do you nail it? I see a good trade headed for that level, then I'll short, but I don't want to. Let's see. It's new. 1 minute. 30 minutes each. So we have some acceleration at market open. Very clearly, S&P 500 is relatively weak compared to the NASDAQ. Thinking of switching back and forth 1 minute. Remember, we don't want to go too crazy here with this is the higher time frame, so I'm going to hide literally everything except for that. I'm going to apply that to everything. And then I think I want to do the hourly, honestly. Yeah, that's what I want. Perfect. Let's even do the 4 hour. Beautiful. Yes, that's what we want. We want to look at the 4 hour time frame, higher time frame. That's where our eyes are. It's likely that we are drawing towards the 74, 68, 25 level. Yeah, and this is on ES, so it's doesn't really matter as much. I'm going to keep that on the 1 minute. So this will be my higher time frame. I'm going to go to the 4. Interval is going to be the same. 768.5. 7468.5. Okay. Let's write that down. Okay. Let's go to X. Just going to make a quick post. Right down. All right. In the bag. So we are rejecting. We get a false breakout on the regular trading hours time frame. So I wonder if we get a pulse up and let's see. Every now and then I like to check what the indices are doing, but I'm not going to do that because I know not everybody watching is going to be interested. So that's why I have two monitors. Heh. Hee. Hoo hoo hoo. All right, let's. So we got a strong flush down on the Nasdaq. Strong flush down. Very interesting. How, if you look here, this was a catch-up play. Um, yeah, that's actually really interesting. If you look at that, there was a catch-up setup here. This is actually a really good setup that we missed. So the setup here was a catch-up play. I think ICT calls this the sixth sister. But essentially, what you do once I stop being a fool and get off of the higher super low time frame, rather, we're going to get on the 5 minute because that's the perfect one to be on for this. 1 second. Okay. So we actually missed a really good setup here. And this is, I believe, what ICT calls the six sister setup or a six sister setup. I could be, we don't have to get in semantics, but essentially the setup is kind of a catch up style play where what you have is in the gray here, you have the London session, essentially pre market session, Asia and London. And you have a low at around 4:30 to 5 a.m. And that low is broken on ES at 9:15, but on NQ it isn't. And you can tell on NQ we immediately just have a monster dump through. Whereas if I switch to the 1 minute, the interesting thing is you have a massive dump through on ES. but I'm going to go to apply to the layout. There we go. You have a massive dump through on ES. Very interesting. I'm going to keep the interval the same here. Good. Here we go. So this is very interesting how so pre-market there was relative strength on NQ, as you can see. You have relative strength on NQ because ES clears the low. But as soon as the market opens, NQ just gets destroyed. So could be there's algos trying to balance it out, maybe arbitrage. It could just be that somebody wanted to dump their shares and thought it was a good price. I don't know. We're going for a bounce play here. Theoretically, we could short here, but I don't want to. I only want A plus setups. Anything less than that, I'm not interested. Speaking of that, I'm going to go get some water. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, folks. We are back. So looks like we have a breakout here. Interesting now. So this is always something interesting to keep in mind. So pre-market, we had relative weakness. Pre-market, we had relative weakness, and now intraday, we have relative strength on ES, but relative weakness on NQ, whereas the other way around, pre-market, we had relative weakness on ES, relative strength in NQ. Something interesting to keep in mind. It could happen really any day, and it could be something you could potentially make into a setup. I haven't personally back tested it, so it's hard for me to comment specifically on the validity of the opportunity, but it is definitely something that has historically repeated itself a few times here and there, enough for me to notice it. So, all right, so let's see what we're doing. Okay. We get a strong breakout on ES. Likely going to break out here on NQ. The question is not if, it's more about when. Um, okay, so Apple is holding, Microsoft holding. Okay, likely going to push up to the midterms. If I had to wager a guess, I still think we're net bullish. I still think we're net bullish here in the long-term time frame for the next few months, because you have to take into account Trump's going to want the economy to go up. Okay. One of the biggest things you have to take in mind, one of the biggest things you have to keep in mind when you're analyzing the S&P and the Nasdaq is that this, when you're trading global markets that are literally worth trillions and trillions of dollars, geopolitics plays a major factor. And the performance of the stock market is heavily political. And so we have midterms coming up in the US. For those who aren't American and aren't aware, less than 4 months, we have midterms. And so that is heavily political, because how good the economy is doing affects people's 401k, which affects how people vote. Now, my prediction is we're probably going to end up seeing a bull run into that. And so if we get a strong bull run into that, I'm probably going to sell into the strength and wait for some type of pullback, because we all know Trump and his volatility expect the unexpected. So I think my playbook is going to be to bet on a continuation move upwards, sell, and hope that there's some type of dip and that I'll miss some further extended monstrous bull run. But that's my bet. My bet is that Trump's going to do whatever he can to say whatever he can to try and pump the economy before midterms. That's my prediction. So the biggest mistake a lot of traders make when they're new to trading or they're getting into the market is they see all of this volatility and they get seduced by the flash. They get seduced by the volatility and they think they have to get involved. You do not have to get involved. 90% of trading is about subtraction, subtracting bad setups, subtracting bad plays. What can you do as a trader on a daily basis to, with the easiest thing you can do as a trader? The easiest thing you can do as a trader to get yourself to the next level, snap of the fingers right away. If you want to get to the next level as a trader right away, the number one most effective thing you can do is learn the skill of sitting on your hands. And guess what? You can pretty much learn it instantly. The skill is very simple. Step one, learn your setup. Step two, look for your setup. Do you see a setup? I don't see my setup. Guess what? That means you go to step three, which means you sit on your hands. It's that simple. Identify your setups, know what they are, look in current market conditions for the setup, and if it's not there, sit on your hands. It's a three-step process and is the simplest process to become a profitable trader. Okay? Write it down here. Number one, study and learn a setup. Two, do you see the setup in the current right now? If no, sit on your hands. The simplest way to get your next self to the next level trading is to do that. It is literally that simple. Learn to sit on your hands. Now, looks like and we get a breakout. Large volume surge up, coinciding with the breakout. Massive volume on the breakout on NQ. Massive volume on the breakout. We get a massive volume surge influx right around 10 a.m. And to be fair, that's when the news coincides. If we go to the 2 degrees indicator, that's when the news coincides with that time. All right, so we have a continuation on the breakout here past the massive influx of volume, which is very interesting. So I was wrong in my thesis here. Thought we were going to clear this level, but we didn't. That's fine. Not clearing this level is perfectly fine. Um, this. All right, so we had an impressive drop and recovery on ES and NQ. Good old dip and rip. Good old dip and rip strategy. We ended up breaking the pre-market highs that we marked out. We ended up breaking the pre-market highs that we marked out, and now we're consolidating over. Okay, so we have massive continuation after the breakout at 10 a.m.